Snap. Welcome to FPP Live, everybody. Waiting for folks to come in. Tonight we're here with Matt Rogers. I'm a big fan personally. Incredible comedian. Huge fan. Matt's already here. A prompt queen. Live right now. Here he comes. Hi.
Prompt queen. Hi.
How
I
are you?
never get referred to as prompt, so I'm usually like a 5 minute late type person. So huge.
Oh my God. Thank you for kind of changing your whole thing for us.
Yeah, I switched up my thing just for you.
Wow, thank you. How are you? How are you feeling?
Doing good today. Really good
Okay,
today.
good.
Which it's and I by really good I mean like fine. You know you know what I mean?
Medium is the new feeling amazing, I guess.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. It's great to at least be able to accept any reality. And
Mhm.
if so that's where we're at.
Good for you. Thank you for making time for us. I know you're friends with a few people I work with, which is
Yes. Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Yep, I've
Um,
been friends with Z for like God, like over a decade.
oh my God, don't eat your. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. um, it's so cool to meet you because I have seen you perform and I'm such a big fan, and
Oh, thank
this is
you,
really
Emma.
cool. Yeah. I decided I wouldn't try to hide that.
Don't
So
try to hide it. I've actually thought to myself a couple. So you know who I like stan is this is it's basic, but it's true.
tell.
I've loved Kelly Clarkson since I was 12 years old, and I've seen her in concert like 13 times, and every time I have like an excuse to meet her, I never do, and I like run away or I
Oh
like
my
start crying and
God.
don't get to do it. And I realize like if I ever do meet her, I can never. I think I just have to say flat out like just to get it out of the way like I am obsessed with you like this is what it is. It might be weird our interaction because I love you so much. Not saying that's what this is, but I got all in my head about it before because I was riding in my car like this, and she came on the radio, and I was like, I had just been thinking about her, and literally since you've been gone, came on the radio, and I was like, okay, maybe this is a sign that I might meet her soon because I was just thinking about what if I met her. I don't
Oh
know.
my
This
God.
this spilled off into a whole tangent. Sorry.
Yeah, you are to Kelly Clarkson as I am to you. So you're
No,
correct.
that's come on now, stupid, stupid.
No, not stupid, but you kind of like, no, you are my Kelly. Really good to meet you. And I think it's good. I think
No.
like stan culture can be healthy
Can
sometimes.
it? I don't know. You been on Twitter? The girls are
A few
chomping at the
times.
bit.
Oh my God, the Sabrina Olivia controversy. We could talk all day.
The whole thing. I mean, literally, one time I tweeted a joke about Lady Gaga. Like, I was watching the vice presidential debates, and I said, we need Gaga to come out as a moderator and say, that's gossip. And some Stan Twitter, some subsect of Stan Twitter that I guess hates Gaga. I don't know who it was. Like, found it, and they were dragging me to absolute hell because they thought
No,
I was serious. I mean, that's the thing about Stan Twitter is not a lot of humor
no,
involved.
no nuance.
No nuance, no humor, no irony, no nothing. And so not good for me and my
And
output.
your upbringing. No, it's horrible.
No. No, but
Yeah,
they dragged me to absolute hell and almost chased me off Twitter, but here I am. Here I
but
stand.
still you rise. You're still
Still
here.
I rise.
Um, that's actually about
Nevertheless, she
you being
persisted.
she persisted. That's about you actually and Gaga anti-stan Twitter, I guess.
Yeah, for
Anyway,
sure.
welcome. We could talk all day, I guess.
I
And
guess.
it'll be like when you meet Kelly, I hope.
I'm sorry I said that.
No, I think it's funny. I'm just being annoying. I keep bringing it up. We're the Future Perfect Project. I know you're friends with Z, but basically what we do is provide free arts programming to queer youth. So we've done theater workshops, arts workshops, songwriting workshops, a comedy workshop we'd love to do one day. And we just believe that the artistic expression of queer youth is a declaration of a better future for us all. Agree or disagree?
I would agree.
So,
Imagine I came on here and was like, actually, I think queer
yeah,
voices need to be silenced.
actually, I'm logging off, and then FPP stand comes for you. Absolutely comes for you. So the way we start all of our workshops is by introducing ourselves. So I'll go first. It's a fun little format, and you'll go next.
Okay.
So I'm Emma, and she is feeling really relieved in Philadelphia.
Okay. I'm Matt, and he is feeling really hopeful in Los Angeles.
Okay, amazing. So let's just get this out of the way. How do you identify on the LGBT spectrum so I don't, call you something you don't vibe with?
Well, I identify as a cis gay man,
Okay.
and that is that has been true since I was 11 years old. And it's been outwardly true since I was 19 years old. And I would say it's been proudly a fact about myself that I will declare and stand by and love about myself since I was like 23, 24.
Okay, gotcha. What
And
do
now I'm an insufferable,
you,
proud gay man.
okay, inseparable since 25.
Yeah.
So what flipped the switch for you? Because I relate. I was very ashamed. It took me
Mhm.
realizing, then outward, then proud. So what was the switch for you to get it out there?
Yeah, so I'm from Long Island, New York, and while New York is a blue state, Long Island is quite a mixed bag culturally. I think that it sort of has a rep I didn't know it had this reputation, but obviously it's very kind of salt of the earth, rough around the edges, bridge and tunnel type people who will give it to you straight, and like they really think what they think, and they're very proud people, and they don't like to be told that they're wrong, and they're also a very patriarchal culture. They're a very heteronormative culture, and they being brought up in that environment um, made it so, especially being brought up in that environment in like the early aughts, like was tough because there weren't a lot of examples around me of healthy gay relationships. It was not a diverse place to grow up. Um, it's actually, I mean, you can use the word segregated to describe it in terms of like the redlining and in terms of like how it breaks down in terms of where people live and the kind of schooling everyone gets. And um, so it was really weird growing up there from 11 on because that was when I viscerally realized I was gay. Like I literally remember the moment my friend came over to swim in my pool, and I remember being like in my head later on that day, I was like, I really want to fuck my friend's back. Wait, what? Like, I was like, why do I want to rub my dick on my friend's back? And I was like, oh, I get it. This is my first ever vivid sexual urge. So then from like 11 to age 19, all throughout middle school and high school, which aren't the best times of your life,
Mm,
it was just like living with the number one priority being like, how do I keep this secret? How do I course correct to a life that's acceptable? How do I like uh, be happy? You know what I mean? Like, how do I
yeah.
live a happy, healthy, successful life? Because this is still at the time when it was like, I graduated high school in 2008. Not to date myself, like you said, not to, but I'm
Oh, who
totally
cares? That's
ignoring you. Yeah,
annoying.
but yeah, I was kind of just like didn't see anyone in the culture or in my like neighborhoods that reflected a reality I wanted. You know what I mean? It was like the only gay characters on television were like Will from Will and Grace and Jack from Will and Grace. And you know, while I really respect that show and think it was so funny, especially like in its original form, like Will was like the acceptable, boring, like straight man literally, and Jack was
Hmm.
like the floppy joke. You know what I mean? And he was so funny, but like he was funny because he was gay. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't see that for myself. I was like, I knew I always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I knew I wanted, I thought I wanted at the time like a nuclear family, and I just thought I had with this obsession with the fact that I wasn't going to be able to like pass down my family name because I was the only son in my family. These crazy things that
Yeah.
growing up in like a patriarchal society, like especially an environment that is very that, will fuck
Hmm.
with you. And then I remember like I went to NYU, stayed closeted all my freshman year, still
Oh my
couldn't
God.
hack it.
Well, that,
Yeah, tough. Oh, the worst because it's like the hottest men in the world. You know what I mean? In New York City, it's like crazy. I didn't go out ever. And then I came out of the closet just very slowly to friends, then family, coworkers first, then friends, then family. And what they don't tell you about that is like you come out with your sexuality and or whatever it is that you're coming out as, whether it's gender identity, whether it is whatever you feel has been not the norm that you need to tell people about. And then when you do that, you still have to come out with your like opinions and your interests and your actual thoughts and things that make you who you are. So that's really just a first step. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so hard to get to that first step of saying like I'm queer in whatever way. And then you have to let people know, and this is all the stuff that comes with that. As a result of being pushed to the side of society, these are my observations in watching it, and it can be very uncomfortable. You know, the times in my life where I've had conflict with people has not been because they didn't agree with or accept the fact that I was gay. It was understanding that that gives me a perspective and that gives me proximity to other people that are also from different backgrounds that felt this way. And I think that it's actually your responsibility as a queer person to try as best you can to expose people in your life and in your past environments that you feel could be fulfilled with this information. And so I've really tried, and I think succeeded in some cases, to help other people with something that was hurting me for such a long time. You know what I mean?
I love that. I know we come out more than once sometimes because we discover new things about ourselves, but I never ever considered coming out like almost intellectually, like this is what I stand
Yeah,
for, they're my morals. And that's so important because if you were a queer young person and your only gay exposure was Will and Grace, like imagine the straight person who was not seeking out Will and Grace. Like they don't even have
right.
like the unnuanced gay portrayal. They have nothing. And so yeah, it really is our responsibility to stand up for all marginalized peoples, not just be like, I'm gay and that's it. And I'm the same exact person as you knew me.
Well, you know what's interesting? Like when I was in high school, I would take like I was in like an AP government class, and I remember this was pre-Obama election. So like this is when I, in fact, it really wasn't until I graduated that he was really becoming a thing. So like I remember in 2007 when I took this class, like it was interesting to hear the social discussions that were happening because this was right around the time when it was like a blanket question of like should gay marriage be legalized,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was always scared to say yes. Like I remember saying, well, I think there should be civil unions, but you shouldn't call it marriage because that's a religious thing. I remember saying that even though I
Oh,
don't
what?
believe that at all. But I was like the most vocal about abortion rights. I was the most vocal about like we must like I think I was even saying reparations when I was in high school. I'm telling you, I was like the kind
Oh,
of person that was like, I'll fight to the death for everyone else because I would want them to do that for me. Like there was lots of girls that I went to high school with who were like, gay marriage should be legal. And inside I was like, wow, thank you. Like I'm happy that someone is saying it because I can't. So really like I think that's when it started for me being like, I will fight to the death for anyone that's in a position where they are like disenfranchised because I feel that same way, but can't stick up for myself right now. So I'll
mm,
stick up for them because I feel that that would pay it forward somehow. Does that make sense?
that makes total sense. I feel like you're either that type of gay person in high school or you're like, I'm an ally and I have no idea why. I just love those gay people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's probably closer to how it is now, right? You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Where it's like, it's sort of, I mean, I'm not in high school, neither of us are, so we don't
Right.
know. But like, I would imagine that because it's sort of en vogue now to be queer, which feels so crazy to say,
And amazing.
um, and it's a great, wonderful thing, and I'm so happy that like that we're getting to the point where it's like now people's complaint is like, oh, everyone's queer. It's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, I mean, I do believe that in some facet, everyone has a queerness
Yes.
in some aspect of their personality, but I would so much rather it be, there's too much acceptance
Yeah.
that and there's too much visibility than there's none because
Yeah.
it's so real. Like, how empowering is it for someone to say, like, I see myself as opposed to I don't see myself at all. Like
Yeah.
that representation really is everything. It's everything.
Yeah. See it and you can be it. That being said, you're And also, oh my God, popular.
Is that like a house phone?
Yeah, don't ask. This is
Go off.
live. I know.
Take it back. Take back the landline.
Reclaiming the landline. Um, so embarrassing. Like,
Reclaiming my line. Sorry.
exactly. We have bits on this live, and you can't stop us. So, well, first of all, I totally forgot to say congratulations on your show, on your pilot.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's a Showtime show that I can't believe is happening. It's Vanessa Bayer created the show and is starring in the show, and she's always been my favorite. And I worked with her a little bit on the show Shrill, and we got to know each other. And she is the most amazing person ever. And um, yeah, and it's gonna come. Hopefully, it's just a pilot now, but cross
Yeah,
your fingers. It's really cool.
I know, I don't know how much you can share with us, but um, you're going to be a queer person in media and kind of
Yeah,
have been a queer person in media. And so, how,
exclusively.
yeah,
I can't be straight. I'm sorry. I'm not interested in it. You know what
I
I mean? Like,
mean,
whenever I get like I never get these auditions, but if I ever get like a straight audition, I'm always like, come on. I don't
right.
care.
No, it's life's too short to like cosplay as a frat boy, right?
No
Um,
thanks.
so how are you infusing your, I know you said that you have no choice, but how are you kind of your queerness and your queer identity into media and being that representation for people? And not
Well,
like the Will and Grace, like, oh, this is the one type of gay person, and not making gay the punchline, I guess.
right. So I think that first of all, it starts with how those characters are coming across on the page, and so I'm lucky that it seems like the work that I'm doing, if I'm not directly involved in it, then the people that are seem to have a real awareness and an intelligence about how to write queer characters. Like sometimes I will get auditions, like every queer actor in this town or that's trying to do this knows, and it screams off the page that like they wanted to write a gay character to feel like they checked that box, or they wanted to write a black character to check that box, or an Asian character to check that box. And then every now and then you get a truly strong piece of work that's the character is written as a character, and it's not identity first because that can get a little problematic on the page.
Hmm.
So I've been really lucky with that. And another thing is, as I've come up in the industry and like worked in it more and more, like I've gotten the opportunity to make some of the stuff myself, and that's been really really nice and rewarding. It's hard to get queer content made. It's very hard. It's hard to
That
get
feels
anything made.
authentic, and that
Right,
feels authentic.
absolutely. So it's like that's the first battle is getting anything made. The second battle is getting queer content made, and the third battle is getting queer content made that I can stand by, that I can say like I would joke about this in my group threads in a real way.
Yes.
Because that's another thing is it's like because there's not a lot of representation, I find that the representation that is out there gets critiqued. Sorry. I think my thing came up. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
I find that the queer media that is out there gets critiqued like so much and often unfairly just because there's not a lot of it to critique. So for example, just to like pull something, I remember when Looking came out, the show Looking, like was it a perfect show? No, not at all. I thought that there was lots of things I would have changed about it. But was it good? Yeah, like it was good. It was an HBO show with like, like diverse queer cast and everything. But I felt like it got really ripped to shreds because by the gay community, by the queer community, just because we really want to be represented well. And when those things don't nail it, it's hard. It's kind of like I think probably a lot of the way that women might feel, especially in the beginning when like Sex and the City was like the first show where it was women sitting frankly and talking about their lives. And I would imagine that if you were not the kind of woman that was represented in that show, you were like, well, is this going to be the only thing they give us? Because this isn't me.
Yeah.
And that's why we just need more and more representation, and there can never be enough. And there's so many talented people, and also not for nothing, but so many platforms now that they
Hmm.
just need to be taking more chances on doing this kind of really real queer storytelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we still actually like we're not close to it being equitable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm even thinking about the L word versus like the new Generation Q that came out.
Hmm.
And it's like still, and I'm one of the people that's like being, for better, for worse, saying like this isn't enough. Like my big thing watching TV is I'm like, I look like these people because I'm white and femme, but like I'm curvy. And so I see a lot of skinny people on TV and I uh,
Yeah.
wish I saw that. So we're always wishing to see someone, which is why we're so critical, I guess.
Yeah, that's the whole thing too, is it's like ultimately you rub up against the fact that it is like a business and there are people doing these things because and decisions are being made because a consumer base is saying they want a certain thing. So that's why I think it's kind of like a circular problem too, because the way that you fix that is by being the person that makes the decisions, by putting more people that are of all different types on screen, because then the consumer base gets used to that and realizes it's nothing to be afraid of. It's the same reason why people are queer phobic and homophobic. They don't know. You know what I mean? That you fear what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's why people say, I'll stick with the devil I know. Because the fear of the unknown is the greatest fear. And so, that's, I guess, why we need to be just making executive decisions to create a more diverse atmosphere and landscape in terms of what we can see, because it's that representation that will make people comfortable and will make people feel at ease.
I love that. Like not even for like us to see ourselves, but for people like I think about
Exactly right.
I think about Queer Eye and like people love it and I'm like, yeah, of course you do. It's like hot people. Like let's have some like I don't know,
Right.
Illy Karamo, if you're watching, love you. But I just think it's like palatable. We talked about this a few lives ago. We were with Nate Berkus and Jeremiah Brent, name drop, and they talked about very frankly, they're like, we're a very palatable gay. We're like an
Palatable gaze. Yeah.
easy guy. Yeah, representation so people are used to us. You weren't even used to
It's
being a lesbian with a house phone, so you need to kind of unpack
no, I
that.
mean that, and now I'm not afraid.
And
You
now
know
you're
what I
not
mean? Now, and
afraid.
I almost got scared and logged off, but now I'm not afraid. And it was because you were represented to me.
So more of that to all the
You're
right.
so right when you say we don't even really need to see it. You know what I mean? I go out and I live my life every day, or at least I used to.
Yeah,
Like, but it's for everyone else. You know what I mean? Like, that's so true. So
yeah,
true.
yeah. But it's also like not our job to be palatable, right? Anyhow,
No, I'm
um,
not palatable. They're gonna find out any minute. Like it's like I don't know. I have hundreds of hours of this podcast that I do with Bo and Yang, and I'm like, if you really want to get to know me, you can sit and listen to that. I don't know if you give me jobs anymore.
oh my gosh, we all have our like unpalatable something sitting
Well,
around.
you know what? It's not that we're unpalatable though, and we're trained to say this. I would like to point out
Okay.
because we actually are palatable, and we're people, and we're dynamic people, and just because we live like full realized sexual lives that aren't what the norm is, that's why we say like, oh, we're not palatable, or who needs to be palatable anyway? That's so stupid. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like everyone's fucking palatable. Palatable, like you can't swallow it,
Right.
girl. You know what
No.
I mean?
Right.
Please. You can swallow me. Anyone can.
Anyone, if anyone can try once at least. Today we did a workshop which was really cool. I almost said cute. I need to like in 2021 not calling things I do cute anymore. It's like I
Okay.
did a in culture, like I did a thing. No,
Totally.
really amazing today.
Oh, I did a thing is not good.
Cancel. So we did a
Cancel.
workshop about the poet laureate from the inauguration, Amanda Gorman,
Yes, Miss
and
Gorman.
there's a line about. Well, now I'm really gonna embarrass myself. Hold on, let me find it. Something about bravery getting in the something being brave if we could choose to be brave. And so we met with a bunch of queer kids. We went to queer young people. We went to a GSA meeting at this school in Philly, and it was great. And they all wrote a letter to the thing that's getting in their way of being brave. And I'm wondering what got in the way of you being brave and coming out as a queer person, as an artist, when you were a young person.
Wow, what was in the way of me being brave? Um, it's honestly, was it, I didn't know myself. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like that was so much of my time and energy was spent trying to fit in and hide myself that I never really got to know myself. And then I remember there were small moments where I would meet myself. Like when I would close the door at night and I would go on Rhapsody, which was the like LimeWire Napster of the time that I did pay for, and
Okay.
I would find Margaret Cho's comedy albums, and I would just like sit there and listen to them, and she she was speaking to me. You know what I mean? Like she was doing stand up that was for queer people, and I didn't even realize it.
Oh
She
my
was
God.
talking about like colonics. Um, this is like she she was like really explicitly like getting down to the queer experience in a way that me as like a 14-year-old could never understand, but somehow understood intrinsically. Like
Yeah.
intrinsically I was like, I know this is for me. And then by extension I found like Sandra Bernhard, and like I'd listen to her albums that she was doing literally from like Joe's Pub, where I would later go on to perform a bunch, like,
Well,
and just the best. And I mean, like her fusion of comedy and music, I didn't know to call it cabaret at the time. And then that was a scene that I was very involved with later. So, like, it was almost like I was leaving crumbs for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I would just find something that I connected to or music that I loved, and that would just like speak to me almost from the future and being like, this is who you are. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, and so that was really tough to not be able to share that with people. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to help it. Like everyone knew I loved Kelly Clarkson because I
Right.
couldn't hold it in.
Right.
But little things, like more niche, explicit things about myself, um, that I couldn't tell people about. And that's something I think that years later, after I was doing comedy and also trying to fit in a boys' club very much, I finally found the podcast, which is called Las Culturistas, that I host with Bowen Yang, who's my best friend. And it really just started us sitting down, and we were going to talk for 90 minutes a week about whatever. And we realized what we wanted to do was talk to people about formative pop culture, because we thought that would be easy to talk about. And then at some point during the podcast, I realized, like, this is what I've been missing. I have never been able to talk about how much I love the things I love.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's why people enjoy coming on the podcast and listening to the podcast, because who doesn't love to talk about what they love? Like, I love the things that I love. I love pop music. I love to dance. I love theme parks. I love making people laugh. I love comedy. I love women. I love men. Like, I love sex. I love all these things. And like, I had never been able to talk frankly about that. And I actually honestly think that when we were, I guess, 25, 26, that's when I finally realized who I really was. And it was being able to have the freedom to sit there with my friend, just talking for 90 minutes and inviting our close friends in there and people that we really respected and admired, and never thinking anyone was ever going to listen to it, like really made us able to be free. And that was when I met myself, I think. And I was, for the very first time, like really excited about who I was, and thought that other people could like it too. You know what I mean? Because that
That's
was something that I always wanted so much. Like, and I think that was, this is like a little heady for a Kelly Clarkson thing, but when she, and yes, I am bringing it back to it, but I remember when she came on American Idol, like everyone seemed to fall in love with her. And because she was such a good singer, but also she was just being herself and her authentic self. And I remember thinking to myself, like in the back of my head, like, oh, maybe one day people will love me for who I am. And I
oh,
just thought that was like not possible. And so later on in my life, when I realized it was just a game changer. It changed my entire life. It really did.
this is making me really emotional because I don't think I've had my, oh my God, when I cry on the live for attention. No, I'm actually feeling really,
I would respect that.
really, really,
Are you a
yeah,
Pisces? Why do I have a water sign energy from you?
I'm a Cancer.
Okay, so yeah. So I'm a Pisces. I'm like a dripping wet Pisces.
Okay.
Like, yeah, so Cancer and I are like that.
Oh,
So that's why.
my best friend who lives in LA actually is a Pisces. So I'm actually all tapped out, Matt. Sorry, no, I'm just kidding.
That's fine. And listen, I respect boundaries.
But it's making me cry because I'm 24 and I don't think I
Oh my
have
God, you're so
gotten
young.
to really have that moment with my queerness yet. I came out when I was 21 or 22, and I don't think I've gotten to proudly enjoy who I am and enjoy my things I love yet, because either I'm embarrassed or I'm worried they're not gay enough or they don't fit in or blah 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 blah. So that's exciting for me to
None of
hear.
that stuff is real. None of that stuff is real, and I want you to, well, it's real because you're feeling it, but you should know that there's so much ahead of you, and you're already putting yourself in such an amazing position because you're doing things like this, and you're also willing to have conversations with yourself and with other people, um, that that are going to lead you in that direction. And you already do know the answer to all these questions, and it's just like, because our lives have been stymied a little bit because the world couldn't catch up with queerness quick enough, and
Right.
we, I think, are that last generation that is, and I'm going to say we're in the same gen.
Okay.
I'm going to pretend I'm 6 years younger, but we are the last generation that's ever going to feel like the world has to catch up to us, because I feel like the younger generation, like the Gen Zers, like it astounds me, like how smart and funny and comfortable they are. And I'm really excited for them, but I think our generation is the last one where it's just like, all right, like we still have that little bit of catch up to do. And
Yeah.
I just don't worry about you at all. I think you're obviously fucking rad. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, when I came out to my sister who's 17, she's like, "Yeah, I knew it. And by the way, everyone's bi in my grade." And I was like, "Okay,
okay,
okay."
yeah. See, that's the thing too, is it's like, don't let that get to you either, because sometimes it does creep in my head. I'm like, oh, so everyone's queer now? What? Like,
Yeah.
fuck my drag.
Yeah. I would say the one place where I needed to catch up is just because there is like there's going to be something to happen with identity that we don't even know is coming yet, and we're going to have to get
Absolutely.
used to. Um I was very uncomfortable with queer people coming out and then coming out again and coming out again and again and again. And I was like, "What? We already did it once. Like we can't figure out more about ourselves."
Hmm.
But we can, and the young people do it all the time. And someone, we were in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and a young queer person said there are a lot of different ways to be yourself. And I was like, and you just have to try out different identities, not like costumes and not to be trendy, but see what feels right in your body and in your heart and in your soul. And young people are so good at that. Like we have a little like Discord, which for people don't know, it's like Slack for young people. And someone was like, I'm really interested in trying this new name. And everyone immediately was like, let's try it. We'll try it. We'll use it in a sentence with you. Let's see if you like it. And
Hmm.
they're just so on board to that metamorphosis. And I'm
Hmm.
like, love it. Here for it. Love it.
You
Um,
gotta. It is different though, because, and it's not our fault that it takes us a minute, because we are the products of a society that was like, most people are named Amanda and Chris. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's hard to make that switch, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's like we all have to take everything less seriously. Like, people should be called whatever they want to be called. People should go to the bathroom wherever the fuck that they want, and they
mhm.
should, like, I just think we could all afford to get out of each other's business a little bit more and just be more supportive, because you will be so much more happy. It, like, take the side of someone who obviously needs help, or obviously needs this moment to explore. It will feel better. You know what I mean? Don't be the person that's like, that's what I would say to other people, is just like, don't be the person that's saying no.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's so much easier to say yes, in my opinion. As a water sign, I feel like we're just like always like yes, yes, yes. And like,
Yeah, that's so funny. I knew you were a water sign. That read to me as clear as day.
yeah, I've never been in the closet about that for sure. So that's great advice to older people that are watching. And by older, I mean above 19, which is like the upper bracket of who we serve. What do
Yeah.
you want to say to queer young people? And there are some queer people watching that want to be like you and want to be artists and do comedy and all that.
What would I say to queer young people?
Who want to be
I who want
specific.
to be artists. Well, I would say that don't feel like there's a time that things need to happen. You know what I mean? I would say that to any young artist. that you have so much more time than you think. And also, that developmental period is actually the most fun you're ever going to have. And it's the most freedom that you're ever going to have. It's a little bit different now with the internet because a lot of people are developing on the internet. And by nature of that, you're sort of uploading things into a void.
Hmm.
It can feel very empty, and sometimes it can feel very full, and it can feel very full of criticism and hate and judgment. So I would say that even though that's true, I don't really know what it's like to develop in that time. Like, be bold, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and really relish this time where people aren't looking or expecting you to do something or deliver in some way. You are a developing artist, which means you need time to develop. You are not ready. I used to say to myself, like when I was like 23, 24, like, why don't I have an agent? Why don't I have a manager? Um, and had I gotten one at that time, I would not have been ready for the stuff that I was going to be asked to do later. So everything in its own time. And I would say if you like something, if something hits you in the heart or in the gut or in your head, follow it. Make it a part of what you do. And something that I really, really, really took to heart, and I remember when I heard I went to a screening of Zero Dark 30 years ago, and I remember Jessica Chastain was at the screening, and she answered a question from someone who was like, "I'm a young actor, but it's really hard in New York City to feel like I'm here to do that." And she said, "Make sure you do just one thing every single day that reminds you who you are." She said, "Do one thing every day that reminds you you're an actress." She said that's what she would tell herself when she was bartending or even had to work a double shift. And I'm saying whether it's like responding to that email that's in relationship to your career, or writing something, or working on an audition, or reading a book that inspires you. It can be any way that you justify it can work, but just make sure that you do at least one thing every single day that reminds you why you're living your life, for what greater purpose, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be you're jam-packed every day busy. Just one thing every single day.
Right. Oh, thank you so much. Really spoke to me and read me as 24-year-old who wants agent. But
Listen, it's not
wouldn't
they're
even know
not going anywhere.
they're not going anywhere, and B, like
But
I
I
don't
remember the struggle. I remember the struggle. Like I remember I was like broke my entire 20s, and I was working in restaurants that were like some of which were like degrading. Like, and it was like it can be really hard, and it's hard to keep yourself afloat even even without a goal in mind. But just be happy and be confident and be lucky, feel grateful the fact that you at least know what you want to do. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, or at least have an idea of what you want to do. Like, so many people are so lost and stuff to figure that out. And at least we have a purpose, no matter what that is, that we've established for ourselves. And now we can go about figuring it out, at least in a ballpark sense, how to make it happen.
And the craziest part is we do arts programming every week. So if you're looking for your like one thing a day, come Tuesdays. We do free arts workshops. Tomorrow I'm leading one on toxic positivity because it's toxic and we're allowed to be sad. That's all I'm going to say.
Toxic positivity. Wow.
Heard of that?
I haven't like explicitly heard of it, but I vividly know what it means.
Okay, okay. Like the girl boss Instagram post. They're like, "You get it, girl," and it's like, okay, what if I can't get it, girl, today? So
Yeah.
imagine that we're gonna make our own Instagram post, okay? And two other things, we're doing a whole workshop series on superpowers, and you can be a villain if you want, I guess, but tapping into your inner power and making a comic starring you about your powers, which is gonna be really awesome. And I'm leading with my dear friend Ryan and coworker, Future Perfect Records, and we're going to be making an album by all queer artists. We actually have an album coming out this
Ryan who?
Ryan A, honey, Ryan Amador.
Amador?
Yeah.
Old friend.
Well,
Yes. Was my roommate in college.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Love, love, love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're going to be
He dates my ex-boyfriend now.
Yeah, I knew that. I was not going to bring it up. I was trying to keep
No. At the time, it was a little bit of drama, but now it's all good.
We're gonna cut this part out of the
They're much better together than we were.
Okay.
Everything's worked out for the best.
Okay. Anyway, if you are an artist, a musical artist, and you're watching, we're going to be making an album, which is going to be really fun with all queer producers, all queer songwriters. I'm here to guide you if you want as a songwriter.
I love it. You
and
guys are so talented.
Album coming out Friday by all queer artists, one of which one of our meetings this year and said, I'm finally ready to consider myself an artist and not make this a hobby, which is like all you can ask for. So
that's so great.
I really identify with everything you talked about. I feel healed. I loved talking to you, and I appreciate your time so much. This was really fun.
Emma, thank you. Sorry, wait. Sorry, I don't know why that happened. I was just like, bye. No, I have 10%, so it's probably good that we wrap. Emma, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and thank you everyone in the comments for being so nice. And this is just a very positive, in a non-toxic way, and supportive thing that you're doing, and I really respect you guys, and I'm happy and proud of you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody. There's always a home for you here as an artist, and make sure to do your one thing a day that makes you feel like you, right?
That's from me, and also Jessica Chastain.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny that it came from her, because I like don't even stan, but like I like her.
Well, you have to give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely, always.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Good night, Matt.
Bye.
Bye.